Welcome to Zentangle Project Pack number 26. This is day 3. My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria, and we're going to be using all these beautiful tools. Look at this. And I think I use pretty much all of them in this particular tile. We got a beautiful brush. I love this brush, and I'm a brush snob. And we got 3 koi pens and a beautiful pre-strung, brand new pre-strung tile. It's just really lovely. More on the mandala kind of patterns.
Nice mix of straight and curvy in this one.
Mm-hmm. We are going to start this out with a quote from Georges Braque. And the quote is, "Out of limitations, new forms emerge." Which is so cool, right? It's so cool. It's so profound for me, because when I do a project and I go to grab a piece, the paper that I had planned on using or whatever, and I don't have it. And I end up using something that I had from 20 years ago or whatever, and it ended up to be the most wonderful thing. I would never have thought to do it. And these are the things that happen in my life all the time. So this quote is so meaningful to me.
Right.
It's happened way too many times. And in cooking, when you don't have all the right ingredients, but you add one instead of the other, and oh my God, you made a new taste sensation. I love it when that happens.
Well, what it reminds me of is like looking at the head of a sunflower. And the limitation there is there's only so much area to have seeds. And that maybe inspired those beautiful counter-rotating spirals, of how the seeds arrange themselves.
Well, according to the shape of the seed, nature figured out that it was the most, they got the most seeds in that head.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's so cool. We're going to work with these tangles, Senna, Printemps, Knightsbridge, and a random border tangle. And introducing Senna, which is what we're going to start out with. So this middle hexagon here, we're going to do a series of lines and
in a Senna
format.
Yeah.
And instead of like ribbon shapes, like usually like you see in Hollabaugh, we're going to do a series of lines together that create a ribbon. So you can see I'm taking that first beautiful curve and creating a ribbon.
And if you look up, like particularly if you're on the app or something, you can look up for tiles with Senna in it and get a real sense of the potential and the range of this tangle.
So I try to work to the right of previously drawn lines because I can follow the line
well, you
better.
Can see it.
You can see it better.
Yeah, your pen isn't over it.
It's the pen's not in the way.
Yeah.
So here's my first band or ribbon. And we're going to go across the way, doing the same thing in a Hollabaugh way. And it's so simple. The whole idea of blending Senna with Hollabaugh is I don't know that I've done it.
Right.
And
you
it
probably
just sounds,
have.
I probably have, but it sounds great. Senna, right?
Right.
It sounds like a foreign land,
Right. Well, what's really cool now is when you do it on the same one, you're creating this, I think it was like in the Tangle X.
Yep.
Where they interweave and go back and forth and really,
So what I did here, I went back to that first ribbon and added some, but then going behind the second ribbon.
Yeah.
And you can go back and forth doing this. There you go. Back and forth. So that you have this weaving thing going on. It's so pretty, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So let's add another one here.
So it's very much like Hollabaugh, just like a curvy Hollabaugh, and this entire tangle, for the most part, is auraing and drawing behind.
Right.
Just sort of in a different sequence, and then using curved lines instead of straight lines, and interweaving them.
And then going back, look at that initial one's going to get really fat, which they don't have to be all the same width. And this is what
Right.
You're going to see here, is that almost like tree branches in the trunk of the tree, that some of the components, I guess you would call them, will be bigger than others, which I love that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the way it is in nature too.
Yeah.
And I love the contrasting with the one that I did that yesterday. It's like this very, very intuitive, like, okay, well, once she has one stroke down, it's like, well, where should the next one go?
Right.
How about there?
This is going to be one of my new favorite patterns, because it came out so beautifully and fairly easy. If you're a newcomer to Zentangle, these are some of the first things that we teach, is drawing behind.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of illustrates it really well.
Yeah.
And so what you end up with is a really complex design with not a lot of fanfare, right?
Well, each step was like really, really, okay, well, I can do that. And each step is very simple and very straightforward.
And you can see that my hand has pretty much stayed in the same spot throughout this whole thing. And Rick and I both talk about this all the time, and say you want to have your hand in a comfortable place, because if you try to do it upside down, turn your hand upside down, the lines are not going to be consistent.
Well, and that's part of the whole, concept and idea, and supported by it's non-representational. So there's, which is the upside on this particular tile. And by turning it, you see different things. You see, oh, well, turning it this way, I'm going to put one of those Senna ribbons over there.
And it didn't even make it all the way across, and yet look at what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to create something that we hadn't expected.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. I was just sort of flying by the seat of my pants here.
But look at how that's coming together. And I love how, the fineness of the line versus the weight at the end of it. Very cool. That's awesome.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of life to it, and movement and interest. And what is that? It looks very complicated. And yet, there you go.
And there's always room for one more. And I like this is such a good example of the difference between drawing and tangling, is that if you were to say to somebody, well, draw this, it would be, well, where do you begin? But tangling it, it's like, oh, well, I know how I did that.
Ah, this is so cool. So now I'm going around it with the pen, and I want you to understand, when I do things like this, I don't want a straight line. I don't want it to be even. I want it to have such character that you know for sure that this wasn't done on a machine. You want that human touch, and you want to be able to almost feel the differences on it.
Well, just like you're doing this line.
Yeah.
All of the lines always have such character.
And again, now when you go to aura a line like that, look at the beautiful reaction you have. Mm-hmm. So the aura is a reaction.
Right.
And by giving it something to, not straight, well, it does some really cool things. So I'm just doing some beautiful counterclockwise spiral here.
A little printemps.
A little printemps, yeah.
For those of you that know the story behind printemps, we like to have fun with our names, and that sort of looks like a spring, and printemps is
the season of spring, in French.
Yeah. So if you ever want to draw spring,
yeah,
there you go.
I tend to do mine different ways, but for the most part, these are all, I think, counterclockwise.
Well, and interestingly, if you look at this, again, it's aura-ing and hollowball.
Mm-hmm.
So around that initial little dot, or that big dot, you aura it and draw each one when they come to butt up against each other. It just goes behind the one that's already there.
Mm-hmm. So don't jump ahead, because we have method to our madness here. We don't usually do printemps that big, so it was really a fun thing to do these spirals that big. And again, let's go and add this little detail, which it's such an easy way to add complexity to your composition.
Right.
And it holds it together. Just doing that holds it together. It's kind of cool.
Well, and the other part is those little fine auras, the space there, is if you decide to shade or do something up to it, it provides like a real good visual separation.
Mm-hmm. So this is another one of my favorite tangles in the world, which is Knightsbridge. If you ever saw our house, there is Knightsbridge in every room, somewhere, in every corner, and they're little things that pop up that have checkerboardy kind of life. I love that it, I can look over there and smile that there's my little joker there.
Yeah. Yeah, some are small, some are big. And what's neat is playing with the width of your auras. So in this case, Maria's like mimicking that previous one.
Right. So we're going to do something a little fun with this Knightsbridge. It's not going to be like your typical Knightsbridge. It's going to have
it's like bending around.
A 3-dimension to it. Yeah. So you just have to watch where you're filling in here to make sure that it's every other one, but it's opposite the white one.
Right. So it's the same principle, but it's got the really cool, like you said, 3-dimensional tees there.
So what this is going to give it is, 3-dimension. Yeah. Like it's sitting up straight and happy.
Well, and it's also this like MC Escher-esque thing, because it's like, wait a minute, they're all different on either side, and cool. I really like that centerpiece.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
Okay, another aura, because I do auras when I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next, which it always serves me well. I've never regretted doing an aura, So that's nice coming along just nicely.
Yeah. Here's another aura.
Another one. And you can see I'm sort of ignoring some of the strings and then using other ones, creating more strings. So this set of lines are probably about the same, and you can see where I'm hitting those triangles in about the same spot.
And I think that what Maria just said is really important on all of the strings, and particularly on these strings, is that you can ignore them, you can combine them, you can add more.
So I'm going to be separating this aura into squares, but in a different way. There you go, so you can see.
But I like the symmetry of like the square theme mixing with the spiral theme.
So now I'm putting a diagonal, like a zigzag, through these squares. And notice I start in the middle because then, it's going to be sort of weighted on both ends.
And wherever each line touches the adjacent one.
So now I'm working with triangles. I'm auraing above.
So this is a form of reticula with these fragments that she's putting in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the key is that it's all auraed on one side. Right? It's a nice resonance again.
Mm-hmm. Almost has a Native American look to like a blanket pattern. So we're adding like what's the name of that? Tangle. I had it. Ravel, like a ravel kind of thing. Yeah.
It's a mix of ravel and the other one that looks like a shell and doing sort of like
I think I mentioned
extending one of them.
I mentioned it at the beginning. Look at that. Nice.
Well, and I like how when you do where they meet together, you fill those in and just really make that. It's just a nice contrast of light and dark.
Mm. And sometimes if you go over that line that you're filling, it adds that. So now we're doing a little Diva dance, sort of, where it's almost like the stuff that's Senna, but it's more Diva dancey where you're adding weighting here and there, and then auraing it. It's a little bit different, has a different feel to it.
Well, it's got a really nice texture of like, the same rhythm of aura, but then all of a sudden in one place there's like a little accent piece.
And what I like about this is that it's mimicking a little bit what we did in the middle, which is, like when you're dressing up, you have your hat and your shoes to, don't really match, but they kind of go together, okay. Right? I like those little crescent moony things that are there.
Right.
Peeking out every once in a while like a surprise.
Well, it's like a nice reminder of aura and the source of, how we teach aura.
Oh, there's another one.
Right. And you can just pop them in anywhere.
Right. And we can, isn't that, you have that at the tip of your pen. You can do it anytime you want.
I know.
And it gives it a not so balancy look.
Right.
It's just fun. Look at that.
It looks really nice.
Cool.
And I like the mix of open space and tight auras.
Mm-hmm. Bold, add drama.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was just going to use one little line of it on the inside here with this beautiful emerald green. I wanted the center to recess, so you do that by adding a little bit of darkness.
So it's like totally framed there, set back.
And these koi pens, they're fun to use because of the tip is like a brush, but you have more control over it as a newbie.
And you can see how that narrow aura around where she put the green in really separates it from the rest of the printemps.
Yes, this almost has a stained glass effect here
Mm.
by pulling it out from the edges and having it the color. What's the word I'm looking for?
Just the gradation
subtle.
of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's just so pretty. Look at that, and it's a fun technique.
Yeah.
I was wondering how I was going to work with these pens, but I think we all went in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Each one of us.
Well, that was part of the whole beauty of the almost like a challenge, and it goes so well with the limitation quotes. It's like, okay, make something with these ingredients.
Yeah. Well,
like one of those cooking shows.
Yeah. And none of us read anything about these koi pens or how it's used or what was designed to be used. We all just looked at it and said, oh, okay, well, how are we going to do this? This is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And almost ended up looking like a fringe. Okay, so I had to let that dry.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let it dry.
Yeah.
It takes an hour or so. So I'm going to be adding some graphite here just to add some interest in the printemps. So I'm going around the edge there.
And using the side of the pencil with the point towards the area that you want to be most precise.
So I'm going to go in with my beautiful tortillon and bring in those the corners, maybe in so that they recess a little bit too.
And the whole point of shading is the contrast with the unshaded part.
Mm-hmm.
So always wanting to keep that in mind. Not that you can't shade something entirely, but
then you lose it.
Yeah, then you lose the contrast. Really nice.
I'm going to go on the outer edge.
And you can lay the graphite down pretty heavy and because you're always being able to come back with the tortillon.
Well, you can always add more.
And you can always add more.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what this is doing is it's giving that outer border a rounded effect, more three-dimensional.
Right. And you can see that there's always a little, or this, in this case, graphite still on the tortillon, so you can put some down in areas that didn't have any graphite to begin with.
So on the not so straight part of the Knightsbridge, I'm going to darken that a little bit, add some gray there, so that it'll accent the feeling of it being three-dimensional.
Started doing it right at the crease there. Yeah, great effect. It's almost like a crenellation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real optical illusion.
Yeah.
It's neat.
And those little triangles that I popped out there, I just thought, oh, I'll just do something real simple.
Very cool. Oh.
Well, you knew that had to happen, right? Of course, I had to tie it all together, wrap it up with a bow, and have it feel tight and warm.
But look at it, really does.
It does.
It does hold it together.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Yeah. There's always room for another aura.
So now I'm going in, just trying to figure out where my chop is going to go. I'm working with a new chop that I'm really liking. Every once in a while I like to shake it up a little. And what it is, I'm sort of just creating a heart with that, that bottom of my M.
Yeah.
Again, a little three-dimensional.
And after that, sign it, appreciate it, own it, date it. And if you want to add anything that, any notes or insights or memories on the back, it's a good place to do that. That looks awesome.
I like it.
Well done.
Senna, who
Right?
knew, right? So I'm showing you some of my sketches about Senna and how I just had so much fun with it. And look how it curved on the inside, and I added a few other little things. And you could see it here filling. What would you even? It looks like some
just very random
letter in another language, right?
But you can see the aura-ing, the diva dancing, the Senna-ing, the hollabah-ing.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is a good inspiration, and as well as a set of limitations for you to just go and create something you may not have even thought possible.
Have fun. See you later.
Bye now.
Bye.